These are four high income skills that I know businesses are really looking for in 2025. And I can say this just from a reference of I've been in the online space for at least 3 years now. And I've definitely noticed a shift in just how people are typically marketing to other people, how sophisticated the online space has honestly been. Because a few years ago, it was pretty new. A lot of people were just starting to get exposed to it, during COVID and everything like that. And from these 3 years of experience, I know that we've, as a company, had to shift a lot. And meaning us as a company, the company I work for, not anything that I own on my own. That'll probably happen later in the future. But for the people who are maybe watching this, the 10 people, I'm just going to go through this. And so this is just pretty much four things that I noticed have been pretty vital for at least a lot of online businesses, especially in the high ticket space a lot of times. I'll just start with this. The first thing is really appointment setting. And this is just something very, very simple. And it's actually how I got into the online space at first. And something very, very simple. I call it a baby version of sales. Because think of it, all you're doing is kind of like a virtual assistant. You're in someone's DMs or maybe in a software that allows them to look through all the people that are trying to get interested into whatever company services are. And you're actually talking to these people, qualifying them, and then making sure that you're actually booking qualified sales calls to the sales team. And at that point, you also get a commission based off of whether or not those calls actually close. And that's what I was doing for the past a couple years, actually. And that's also what helped me get into doubling my income in just 1 year. And I went over that literally last week. And because that was just the first skill that I learned to actually get me on this upward trajectory. And now I'm not making millions or anything like that just by an appointment setting, but it definitely got me to the place where I got to learn a lot more high value skills. And appointment setting is just a really good entry place because it's a simple skill to learn. Obviously, you're going to need some practice. Obviously, you're going to need to know what you're doing, but you're talking to people, and also it doesn't have as much friction or stress as a sales call would. Because a sales call, you're going to have to talk with people one-on-one, and it's not like you can take your time to formulate your response. You're going to have to think of it on the fly a lot of times and prepare yourself a lot more ahead of time. With appointment setting, you get a script to kind of adhere to, and also you can take your time when it comes to responding to people. Obviously, there's a timetable to it, but you can it's a lot less stress when it comes to that, at least. And this actually moves me into the next thing that I've been seeing, and I know that's still very much a big thing, and I think it's always going to be a big thing, no matter what space that you're in, which is pretty much sales. And now, the thing that I'm doing is more or less high ticket sales online, and it's remote. It's really great. And from being an appointment setter and kind of having myself thrown into a lot of different areas inside of the business that I'm working in right now, I landed in this place where I do take sales calls. And so this was a really tough skill to learn, and it's kind of a really big level up to what appointment setting is. But definitely the foundation does come from appointment setting and then upward. And from there, you just have a lot more leverage. Because instead of just always, let's say, trading your time for money, you trade your skills for money. So at the end of the day, sometimes I could get paid in just maybe an hour or even less, $300+ at that point. And technically working $300 an hour. And so this is obviously based on my skill and everything else like that. But once you actually start to learn this and understand how sales psychology works, how to convince people, how to actually show them that the thing that you're doing is actually ethical at this point, not just a pushy type of sales thing. Because I know many people can think like that, but that's not the thing I'm talking about. It's more so you have a service that this person that you're talking to actually is struggling with whatever you help them with. And at that point, you have something that you can actually give them. And then you give them it through a program, through a coaching program, through a service, through whatever the case is at that point. Because the main thing is just really, I'm here to benefit you. And this is the solution that I think can help you. And do you agree? If you agree, let's go ahead and move forward. If there's certain thoughts that may be holding you back, let's talk about it. Those are just objections. Objections aren't the things that they have against you. It's just more, there are maybe some mental hurdles that they need to cross in order to actually make sure that they can take a step into the thing that they know they need to do. And that's the main thing for them. And rather than coming at from a force of just like, I need you to get you to buy, it's more so like, how can I help you the best? And once you get to the point where you're like, no, this is actually going to be the thing that helps you, and you both come to the realization, you and the prospect, at that point, you're just doing it the ethical thing of just like, okay, as a friend or as a person who knows you right now, I know the thing that you're struggling with. Here's the thing that I think would actually help. And here's the things that we would do. What do you think about it? They say it looks good. Okay, this is what it looks like to actually move forward. And then at that point, they might get nervous. Might get anything else like that, whatever the case. And at that point, it's just our job as a salesperson to be like, okay, let's talk about that. Because you and I both know, we just discussed that this would really help you. So what's really holding you back? What really makes you want to stay in the same situation? Anyways, but that's just a little sales tip for anyone who's kind of interested. But when it comes to sales in general, that kind of position is really going to stay for a very long time. I know AI can kind of come and go, but I think the first thing that they will most likely take is at least appointment setting. And even then, now it's not exactly the greatest thing, because in all honesty, people were still looking for that human connection. And at some point, maybe that will evaporate. But it'll take probably a little bit, probably a while, before you literally have robots taking sales calls and actually doing it effectively at that point. And I would just say, like, sales is something that has the highest leverage when it comes to the time that you're putting into something to how much you're getting out of it. And especially if you just stack up on so many sales calls, let's say you have 20 calls in a week, and let's say you have, 20% close rate, right? 20 or even less. So let's say that's probably 4 calls. You close 4 calls in those 20 calls that you had in this week. And at that point, your offer that you're closing is $5,000. So you make $500 on each one of those. You made $2,000 in 1 week based off of just closing 4 people. And 20% is not a high percentage. Not really. That's like below average. And you can make $2,000 a week on that point. Like, that's good money for any normal person. And that's just insane. And that's what I was just saying. Like, this is one of the best high income skills that anyone could really learn, especially as just a beginner, as something I've learned, is because, like, this puts you in a place where you actually get to grow in yourself and actually show, like, okay, these are the shortcomings that I have, because sales has a lot of instant feedback of just like, all right, you have a call, it didn't go the way you wanted to, you realize some things that you should have done better. Now it's time for you to adjust it for the next one. Like, it has a very fast feedback loop. So you're kind of getting feedback on everything that you're doing right and doing wrong on a daily basis. And so it makes you kind of get better, not just as in the skill itself, but also as a person. Because you're like, okay, how can I get better? Why? Maybe I was a little bit too pushy. Maybe I was doing this too much. Maybe I was doing this. And then you can also apply that to your own life. And somewhat similar to appointment setting, but that the feedback loop is a little bit longer than most. And so, but actually the next thing that I would say, like, a really high income skill that I've been seeing a lot is just skills that have to happen with AI, whether it's developing it, whether it's using it, whether it's teaching people how to properly use it for businesses. Because in all honesty, from what I know, most business owners don't know anything about AI. Not really much, how to operate it or anything else like that. They're just like, oh, I just know ChatGPT. Maybe some of them know how to make some prompts or whatever the case is like that. But when it comes to automating certain things, when it comes to actually integrating it with your business, whether it's making content, whether it's processing maybe stuff for clients or whatever the case is like that, they need people to help them do that. They need people who understand how AI works, understand how you can use these different models and everything like that, but also integrating them into their business so that it can actually make the workflows a lot easier. And that comes with automations, that comes with teaching them how to use it, that comes with maybe even creating your own or building your own, like, proprietary whatever to help it with the business, with whatever business that you're helping, because that adds so much value. And especially now, since everyone's kind of a little bit after the whole AI craze, not being them crazy for it, but just more of like, I'm kind of fearful of AI. Most people are encouraging it now because they see the value. They see how much value it's really been adding. And with all these different advances with when it comes to ChatGPT, the new thing called DeepSeek and stuff like that, all these different things that are happening, they're just getting better and better and better. We need to know how to get better at that. And people who are actually on top of it, who have the skills to actually implement this into different businesses and want to and have those workflows that make life so much easier for those business owners, that is really, really high leverage, because you're solving a major problem that business owners have. And typically, business owners are the people who have the most money rather than just consumers. And I know this is all business talk, but this is just something that I've been seeing. And I just wanted to share this because, again, if you haven't been here, this is just me coming to you on a weekly basis, coming to me more or less, because I know not many people really watch this, but really just talking about the things that I've learned, the things that I've been teaching myself or just learning myself, and also the things that I know I have seen that I could teach other people so that it can cement more into my own mind. And so catch up on the things that I've said in the past when it comes to how goals are, relationship with God, everything else like that. Go ahead and watch those if you want to. But in any case, continuing on. And then the last thing that I would say, the number 4 really, is something I've honestly found, because I've worked specifically in the online coaching space. And so I've worked with financial coaches, and I work with a financial coach. And along with all of these other coaches that I've seen, in the space, which is the industry is just growing bigger and bigger and bigger every single year, and more people are trying to become online coaches and whatnot, that the ways to actually gain trust from a lot of people, because there's a lot of scammy people out there. And so if you're a person who actually knows what he's talking about and has genuine, effort to try and help people with their issues, it's really hard to try and convince people that you're trustworthy, because most people just see it like on Instagram, on TikTok, you're like, they're just scams, because that's what everyone assumes, because there's been a few bad apples. And one thing I've been seeing a lot more now is that in order to create that authority that a lot of people have been missing, in order to create that connection with people so that they actually know who you are as a personal brand, as everything else like that, is really YouTube creation, creating YouTube videos. Similar to this, but probably more advanced than this. And really helping business owners shift in that more direction, because a lot of people are really using their business's marketing tactics more towards YouTube. Instead of having like a video sales letter on a website, they're actually just pulling them to a YouTube video that they created to kind of like show them their process and show them their testimonials and show them doing all that jazz. And also leaving the available door open so that anyone on YouTube can go ahead and stroll in and kind of get into whatever content that they're making. And that's kind of the biggest thing, because that's the really big shift. Because a lot of times you need so many different websites. You need a website of your own. You need a landing page. You need all these different funnels. Nowadays, I've been noticing it's much more like the value that's really coming in is much more organic, rather than just paid ads or just having an ad that brings them to a funnel and then you get paid, whatever the case is, at least when it comes to high ticket stuff. And when I mean high ticket, I mean things that you're selling that are above, like, let's say 3 to 4K. And that actually creates a lot more authority, because if you see someone on YouTube and you get to watch a lot of different videos on them on YouTube, which people are more likely to do than, let's say, Instagram, right? Instagram, most people aren't really looking to buy. YouTube, they may have a little bit more consideration, because they're literally looking at you, learning from you over a longer period of time. And this is just me to bring the value of it. But the reason why this is people are looking for this, and this is a high income skill, right? Because it's very much in demand. And most business owners don't even know anything about YouTube. And so if you come in knowing at least somewhat, a little bit more than them when it comes to YouTube, or at least trying to learn with them, right? Then you can bring tremendous value, because you and your focused effort can help them get better at YouTube, get better at driving people through this different marketing channel than them trying to handle everything by themselves, because they're trying to handle clients, they're trying to handle the marketing, they're trying to handle the sales and everything else like that. And if you just come in, you as someone who actually knows what they're doing when it comes to YouTube, you can get paid fairly well, especially if they can find out what the value actually that you can bring to their business. And at that point, you start bringing results. People start coming in, and let's say the sales calls, they get remarkably easier, and the close rate starts going really high. Why? Because they're so much warmer. They understand who the business owner is, what they do, how they serve. They're not questioning whether or not they're real or whatnot. They're actually doing something to help them at the end of the day. And that's the main thing why you would help. And that brings you a lot of really good value, because especially like YouTube's been here for years, and I don't think it's going anywhere. And if anything, it's just going to become more and more utilized, especially as kind of like the old traditional ways of doing business and even through media is kind of just shifting a lot of times now, especially when it came to the election, especially when it came to everything else like that, and the pandemic especially. And so things are definitely just changing. And so I just wanted to share this with you because this is something I've been observing. And I know last time I was talking about the two things that helped me double my income. And one of the first things was learning high income skills. And so I kind of wanted to go a little bit deeper onto what that specifically looked like. And some things that I'm even seeing now that would be probably the highest priority of skills that for anyone to really learn when it comes to AI, YouTube creation, sales, and appointment setting. Like those are just the basic things. And there's probably a lot more, but this is just my own knowledge because I'm just a man. I'm just a 22-year-old guy who just doubled his income a little bit and is actually working with a company that is helping him a lot, and we're helping people, and we're trying to do things in an ethical way, and we're trying different strategies and whatnot, and I'm learning a lot when it comes to everything in my life, and this is just me trying to share it. So hope that helps. If it didn't, cool. If it did, amazing. Hope to add value to you, and then maybe watch something else if you want to. I don't really know, but I don't really care because this isn't really for views. It's just to give value in any kind of way. And love you guys.